So, in the world of spirit, where everything is simultaneous and everything is existing all at once, the higher self, which I prefer to call the oversoul, desired to express a certain line of creation, perception, conception, and so began to really focus in that direction. And it is at that level where the individual, what we would call personality, you, began its development. And when those beliefs, those ideas, those conceptions that your higher self was looking to explore gained strength, did it begin to outgrow and outpour into a physical brain and body in a womb within the realms of here and now, time and space. Like all things in the universe, we are a fractal of something larger. In our case, a fractal of our higher self and its attributes of creation. The higher self took, in physical terms, 9 months to just give a foundational brain and body to work through to begin the journey of where it was intending to go with the expression of certain lines of thought and creativity. Now, you are a miniature version of this higher self, where the higher self focused to intensify and bring into physical life a certain angle of being. You, jumping off from that point, are also creating through a similar type of process of taking thoughts, making them larger through focus, giving them energetic intensity, which then wires the brain and nerve structure of the body, giving you the experiences that you have out there, while simultaneously suppressing those you are not focusing on. The nature of your experience then wraps back up into the higher self. What the you as a personality is learning and expressing is not only for yourself, but it is also for the higher self, and giving to the greater collective at the same time, of which the higher self is more directly aware. Because the higher self knows time and space does not exist, that everything is connected and thus one. And this is where you come out of. And it is only by virtue of the physical brain and body that you experience events in a type of sequence that gives an illusion of separation and arrangement. The higher self knows and experiences the nature of your events in a much different capacity. However, you are vital for its overall experience. So as mentioned earlier, the higher self, in wanting to express certain potentialities and lines of thinking, focused in that direction. Now, certain lines of thinking, a certain path of intended direction, creates a unique combination. That, in the English language, we would label as a personality, meaning you. A personality is a character that is produced as a result of certain thought patterns coming together, like bringing certain various ingredients together, and once you bake it, it becomes a chocolate cake versus vanilla or something else entirely. You know, you get the flour, the sugar, the chocolate butter, the eggs. All those could be seen as various forms of characteristic thoughts that, when added together, form a unique structure. That unique structure is the personality, and therefore you are a combination of certain angles of thought the higher self is looking to outgrow, to unfold. Now, the higher self does allow you as a personality your own level of freedom, because you are expressing the potentials of that mixture it was looking to combine and explore when it brought it all together into a physical form inside the womb, into this world. In an odd way, the higher self is proverbially sitting back and seeing what you as a personality does what you produce, how you create with that combination of thought and direction supplied at birth, and run with it. That's what each of us is doing. We are running with what the higher self gave us as the initial configuration of the physical brain and body. Again, the higher self was wanting to see how such combination would unfold, outgrow, and therefore does not make you a puppet to its desires. It wants to be surprised at a certain level. What's more, it's important to note, the higher self does not judge us or our experiences. It is simply taking in the nature of our experiences. It is learning from this process, perhaps even about its own self. It is outworking its own being and is doing it through you and the other simultaneous incarnations that it is also letting loose, that we often say are reincarnational, but I won't get into that here. You know, it is kind of a fun game when you think about it, because you're taking combinations of thought possibilities, baking it into a cake, and saying to that cake, okay, go on and see what, as this combination, you will do. That's it. It's about what you will learn and what you give back to the greater collective. However, you are also given your free will and your power of choice during your lifetime. Now, you are given the attributes to create pretty much anything into a physical experience. But when life is over, the filtering mechanism of the physical brain, as created by your more cherished and focused beliefs, is no longer active. You're out of it. So, what you brought through into physical reality as a result of your beliefs and mental attitudes, and what was equally suppressed because of such thinking, in a unique way, kind of come together. At that point, you get to see with newfound understanding. You get to examine what you physically produced and the ramifications of each of your creation's natures amidst all probable states that had always been available to you during your physical journey. So, why would you examine your previous life from a standpoint of making a type of judgment that only you can make and no one else, including your higher self? Because at that point, you are given the opportunity to see that you are the creator of your personal experiences. You know that you are a creator. And then you get to judge your creations, and thus yourself, as either being helpful to the progress of life, which is the mandate of helping to express all potentials and living out the meanings attached to those potentials. Or did you try to hinder life from expressing and experiencing desired potentials? Because the filtering mechanism of the brain is no longer in effect, you're given that degree of separation from your previous life's manifestations and are thus able to look back upon it from a whole new perspective. And within that perspective, you will determine where you stand in terms of understanding life, of what is constructive and what is destructive when it comes to the fullness of life. Likewise, your higher self is also learning through this process. As you learned from how your thoughts were expressed in your physical life, so too is the higher self learning more about the nature of thought within its own larger context of the universe. Now, because the higher self gives you your own freedom and it does not judge you, that light that one enters into at the time of death, I'm willing to bet it's not God. It's your own higher self welcoming you back